All right, we're here to talk part 2 of the Hall of Fame, the main event portion. And speaking of the main event, the Podfather himself, Scott Criscuolo. What's up, buddy?
Mr. Gray, how are you, sir? Happy WrestleMania season, as we are in the home stretch here. Kind of crazy, huh?
Actually, yeah, this is coming out Monday afternoon, so we are in WrestleMania week.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to it. I know
Yeah.
you were looking forward to the Hall of Fame. Your favorite, the game, Triple H, is heading into the wing. Overall feelings on Triple H heading in. Is it going to be a Dallas moment for you, or are you going to be able to control yourself?
I'm going to break the fourth wall for a minute because you would have appreciated this. But at WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, when he came out at the beginning of night 2, I was standing between Mr. Kidd and Mr. Grunberg, and Grooney, in his usual Grooney way, jumped around like he got hit in the ass. And Sean scolded him and said, "Sit down. This is not your moment. This is his." And he sat down. It was pretty great.
He should know his role by now.
He should really know his role. I mean, it's him. I mean, sit down. Get a grip. Yeah. Mike Sanders isn't going to the Hall of Fame, so get over yourself. But I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, yeah, you're going to have the naysayers, but too bad. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this soon. To be honest, I thought he was going to go in last year in Philly. I felt like he was a guy that was always going to go in on the East Coast because that's his thing. I think the Hall of Fame class overall this year is good, but I don't think they had a viable other main event guy. I mean, Batista's still kind of holding his out for a little bit. So you're like, you know what? You might as well put him in now. He's never wrestling again. He can't. Physically he can't. So you might as well just put him in now and get it done. And he's not going to be like Vince where he'll wrestle at a Mania every couple of years. He can't. He physically can't. So I think it's a perfect moment. I think it'll boost the weekend because, there are rumblings. The weekend attendance wise is a little shaky. So maybe this brought some extra people in, but it's a great moment for a guy who was a glue guy for the last 25 years. He's not Stone Cold. He's not Rock, but he's a guy that was there when you needed him in any role. And then for a guy who cared enough about this business and kept it going during a time the last 5 years where this company was in, a state of transition and flux, to have him help get it through and build to what it is now with, another 2-night, 60,000 per night gate. Got to give him his due. Got to give him his due for that. So he belongs in. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees that he belongs in. It's just his naysayers are just gonna kind of look at something to pluck, and maybe timing how, Vince said he'll never go in, and then Paul's in charge for a second year here, and now he's in, even though it was presented as kind of a surprise and you have no say. Could be a little weary of that or a little whatever, but regardless, I thought the moment was really cool, and I think he was surprised, and perhaps either if he was surprised he's going in or surprised it was announced right there, right? Because it was strategical to do it that way. It was sly and slick to present it like, well, he didn't know, and so on and so forth. But
right,
shades of gray, I guess we'll never know. But overall, he definitely warrants a headlining class. If you don't agree with that, come on, what are we doing with our lives?
Yeah, exactly. And again, the quick thing, I think the difference between like Vince and Triple H is Vince was wrestling again in Dallas. He was 70 something. He looked horrendous. Triple H is never going to wrestle again. He is pretty much a permanent executive. Mm-hmm. So at this point, why wait in that aspect? It's not like he's going to be doing anything anymore. So he barely goes on TV only for the big things. So might as well put him in now. Well, why wait? That's a difference to me.
I'm good with it. Yeah. All right. So Scott, I tasked you with some homework to give me your 5 favorite Triple H matches, and let's just kind of count those down 5 through 1, just to kind of, just to give him his flowers as he's here. And I picked 5 moments from his career as well. So let's kind of just, this is what I don't think anyone disagrees that he's a Hall of Famer. It's just kind of us highlighting his high points throughout his career and kind of celebrating them, right?
Exactly. Yep. Totally. Absolutely.
All right. Your number 5 match here was the 2000 Royal Rumble, Cactus Jack versus Triple H Street Fight. I thought this is an excellent match too as well. Why is this so meaningful to you?
Well, it was a match that made him legit. Mick Foley, it's the 3rd straight year that Mick, to his credit, put over a guy that needed putting over. He did it for Austin in 1998. He did it for The Rock in 1999. And he did it for Triple H here. Triple H needed to be legitimized. The company was okay for these few months they had Rock, they had the build to WrestleMania in Anaheim, but they didn't know how long Austin was going to be gone. Remember, he had the neck surgery, hit by the car, and so they didn't know when he was coming back. So it's funny. 2000 would end up being one of the greatest, if not the greatest year, maybe in ring in the history of the company. But at the time, they didn't know that. So, Triple H won the belt in August, but they thought it was, it's Triple H, it's kind of like Jeff Jarrett winning something or whatever, and he won a few matches here and there. But this match was like, all right, this guy's, he took shots with a pallet. He got a piece of wood shoved in his calf. And if you have this DVD and you have the extra, they show him pulling the thing out of his leg. And the thing was like this big. It wasn't small. He legitimized himself in front of, the most fickle crowd. They'd already gotten jacked up when Taz debuted earlier in the night. It was a moment for him to be legitimized as a guy that will be the backbone of the company for years. And it's just damn good. I was there live the following month for the Hell in a Cell at No Way Out in Hartford. And that match is awesome. It's not this match, though. This match has to go down as there's probably a couple others that are not on the top of my head, maybe Cena and AJ in 2016. This is probably the greatest title match in Rumble history. I don't know if any matches come close. I might be missing one off the top of my head, but I don't think
Maga
so.
maybe, but this one is probably this one's probably more popular, right? And probably more meaningful as well. But this is definitely warrants a top 5 from Triple H. It's a fantastic match. I remember watching it like Rumble season like 2 years ago and just being blown away.
Yeah,
right. So
it is. Yep,
it really
totally.
is great, and he's a big part of it too. So he kicks off a great year for him in 2000.
Right. Yep.
All right, number 4 here, Scott, is WrestleMania 30, the opener versus Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Triple H does a great job kind of setting the table for a fantastic night for Daniel Bryan. And mind you, this is right after The Rock, Austin, and Hogan, so the crowd is electric for that. And this is a great story with Bryan that, a through line throughout the show, and Triple H does his part here to really set the tone, does the job for Bryan, and make sure Bryan is successful at the end of the night. And it's kind of predictable, honestly, coming in, oh yeah, Bryan's going to beat him, but they do such a good job throughout the match to really be like, oh, maybe he's not, and we're going to get an evolution 3-way, right? So overall, masterful job from Triple H to play the game this night.
Well, yeah, you're talking about a situation where the crowd for the first time and the only time after that they thought they could control things, and then Vince put the kibosh on that after a year. But the fans kind of willed them to change their minds, and maybe the only collateral damage for that was Batista, but it had to happen. But Triple H was going to make Daniel Bryan earn it, and that's the way they had to do it. They wanted to make him more beat down and ready for the triple threat, where his 2 Evolution guys, which he hadn't really set up yet. Orton, but not really Batista. In the middle of that card, looking back, WrestleMania 30 is it's one of those kind of shows. You were preparing yourself for a big moment, a big moment at the end of the night. But Triple H did his best. The match is amazing. I think a lot of people were very surprised that he could hang with a still in prime Daniel Bryan at that point. The match is, I think it's almost half an hour. It definitely gives Owen Brett 20 years earlier, a run for its money is the greatest Mania opener of all time. And it just set the tone for Daniel at the end of the night for the Miracle on Bourbon. That's a great line by McCool, the Miracle on Bourbon Street. And so I think more for the fact the match itself is amazing. The fact that he did what everyone says he never does, which is put guys over when need be. And he did it that night. And he did the extra beat down to limp him off and make him look all broken down. And Daniel Bryan did a hell of a job that night, looking like he got hit by a bus by the time he walked out for the main event. So again, there's another case where no one thinks he ever does it because they only remember the 1 or 2 times that he didn't do it. But another time that he put a guy over for the good of the business. And the match is just amazing. If you've never seen it, if you don't even remember it, if you remember more of the triple threat at the end of the night, you have to watch this match. It's epic. It's absolutely epic.
Yep. All right, number 3 here is Hell in a Cell, Vengeance 2005, the blow-off with Batista. I haven't seen this shit in a few years, Scott. I remember watching it kind of when the network came out, but maybe a little bit past that, just because I remember it being so fantastic. And it really was great. Great story throughout the match. Triple H sends his buddy off to SmackDown for greater success. And it's probably Triple H's greatest Hell in a Cell. And I think he's probably 1 or 2 with guys with volumes of Hell in a Cell matches. Why is this number 3 for you, Scott?
Well, Hell in a Cell is my favorite gimmick of all time. It's my favorite gimmick match. I loved cages as a kid, and the Hell in a Cell just made it better. And again, a well-built story. It wasn't like 04 when we got Orton shoved down our throats and he wasn't ready for it, and Triple H had to push the reset button at Unforgiven that year. But Batista just got it. He had the charisma. He had kind of the, you knew he was the guy that would have looked better as World Heavyweight Champion. And Orton would, of course, go in his own right down the line. But at that moment, Batista just had the charisma to tell the audience, these guys think I'm like an idiot. and I'm gonna do it the right way. And I won the Rumble, and then they tried to do the mind game and, hit him with the JBL's limo and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was kind of great. It was a great story, and of course the thumbs down and the power bomb through the desk. And I know a lot of people think it got watered down because they had Cena and Batista went back to back at WrestleMania 21. I always thought Cena should have won at Judgment Day, but that's just me. But that was a great moment. The match itself was all right. I thought Backlash was really good, better than Mania, but still not quite the level it needed to be. This match did it. Batista was smart. He wore white, so you knew it was his tights were going to look, orange or light red or whatever, pink. And Triple H was going to definitely gig. So the match was going to be violent and disgusting and awesome. And the two of them went out there on already a great show, because you remember you had the triple threat with Cena, Christian, and I think it was Jericho.
Yeah.
And then you had the Kurt Shawn rematch, which I still say was better than the match at WrestleMania, in my opinion. So the match, this is the second straight time. We're going to talk about another show that was in Vegas in a minute. It seems like the pay-per-views in Vegas are always good. And this just told a great story. It sealed the deal for Batista. It made Batista a star, kind of like Mick made Triple H a star 5 years earlier in the match we talked about a minute ago, and made Batista a star, stamped him, and then, like you said, Triple H sent him off to Smack, because we're done now. We don't need to be blanketed with you. Time for you to go off to your own show and do your own thing. So to me, it's just the perfect psychology. It was a trilogy. It was great storytelling, and it was violent. Again, putting a guy over. He beat him 3 straight times. It took 14 years for Triple H to get the win back at WrestleMania 35. We were there.
Going on probably.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh God, I know. Yeah, that one's a little rough. You and I were there for that, but this match just is a perfect timestamp for Batista's evolution, no pun intended. And again, Triple H did the right thing at the right time, and the match is just incredibly violent and fun to watch. It's amazing.
Number 2 here, SummerSlam 2002, Shawnmichaels versus Triple H in an unsanctioned match. Shawnmichaels returned to the WWE after a 4+ year hiatus, and the game's perfect. I love the build here where they have the DX reunion, and then you get the pedigree, and then they gets taken out, so on and so forth. Sets the table for this unsanctioned match. It's great. It's phenomenal. I remember watching it, I think 2022, when I was watching 2002, and I was just like blown away. It's match of the night on a stacked SummerSlam. And they're epic. It's like when Triple H are going against these workers. We see here Bryan and Michaels. He tightens his boot extra strong, and he's in shape. He's ready to go with that at that frenetic pace. His timing and everything is fantastic, because these, Bryan and Michaels can go like the best of them. So, this is definitely a good Triple H match. Shawn's first one, right? He's leaning on him all match. So Why is this number 2?
Number 1, it set the table for Shawn to come back, even though at the time nobody knew that.
He didn't even know it. Yeah,
he didn't even know that, because then obviously, and then a few months later he ends up winning in the Chamber. For me, it's stamped for Triple H. His return from the injury and the face turn in the first half of 02 was okay in the beginning, and then the divorce storyline for WrestleMania and running over the dog and the fucking shampoo and whatever else that stupid storyline was with Stephanie's divorce or whatever. He's a good heel. He's one of the greatest heels of all time. He's a good asshole. So, and Shawn needed to come back. He was ready, but you don't want to. A lot of these guys in 02, you're not going to have him against a guy like Brock or something. 02 Brock, you're not going to have Shawn against. He might be in a wheelchair at this point. So, I mean, there's one guy that Hunter will be able to kind of, if you look at, and I'll give you a perfect example. When Shawn gets side suplexed on the chair, you think to yourself, holy, is he out of his fucking mind? I mean, why is Triple H doing that? I mean, the back is, but if you look, he didn't really land on the lower back. He landed like on his shoulder blades. So from a distance, you see, oh my God, he's messing with the back. But reality, he hit him kind of higher up than he did in the part of Shawn's back that needed 4 years to heal. And that was why he picked Triple H, because Triple H knew what he could do and what he was working with. And the storytelling was amazing. And it's Shawn. I mean, if anybody knows how to write the book on how to keep you right here, it's him. And we saw that, and we saw it 7 years later at WrestleMania with him and Taker. So that it captivated the crowd. The violence meter got amped up. I had a weird debate with JR when we did this vintage vault that he thought that they should have amped it back a notch to give Rock and Brock more pub, and they shouldn't have gone all the way to the. And I always thought to myself, kind of weird. It's kind of an odd opinion. And JR and I have had odd opinions with each other for years, but I always thought that was kind of strange. Like, how do you ratchet it down so you don't over? I don't know. I never understood that. But anyway, but they wanted to go to the end, and it was for Shawn to come back. He was the guy, Triple H, that you could trust, and they put on, another clinic. And again, you had, like you said, you had Rock and Brock, you had Flair and Jericho, you had RVD Benoit, you had, it was crazy. That card is freaking ridiculous. So, and it was the last of the great SummerSlams, that 6-year stretch. So to me, this always stamps time because they're best friends. They know each other. It reestablished Triple H into his lane at what he's best at creatively. And it got Shawn ready for what we'd get, thankfully for Shawn, for the next 8 years. So I'll always have a soft spot for this match. It always frustrates me because this was one pay-per-view, it was out on Long Island, which is, 40 minutes from my house. That irked me. I didn't go. It still haunts me to this day that I could have gone to the show and I didn't. It really bothers me. Now it really bothers me. But yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing match. Brought Shawn back and got Triple H to where he needed to be for the rest of his career at that point.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right, number 1. No Way Out 2001, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H, 3 Stages of Hell. This is the meat of a awesome run of pay-per-views from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania 17.
Yep.
This is a critical part of that, and this is phenomenal. Why is this number 1? I love this match.
Well, you have, again, it does mark time because these 3 months pretty much, it was already over anyway, but these 3 months pretty much put WCW in the grave. You had two guys. Stone Cold was hungry. He was it's a lot like Shawn the following year. Stone Cold was not sure of his in-ring. The match with Rikishi at No Mercy was, the match they had at the Survivor Series, I am not a fan of. Never liked it. The 6-pack at Armageddon, they kind of hid themselves, obviously with other guys. And then you had, and then he's in the Rumble. So this was the match. Not only did it set Triple H up for the future, but it also told Stone Cold, all right, I'm back. And it was just good. And I wrote this in many columns and talked about it here, obviously, here on NoSo and on the PTB. Good, clean violence. The point of this match simply was for these two guys to literally destroy each other. And and I like the booking that they reversed. Like Stone Cold won the wrestling match and Triple H won the street fight. And then they dropped the cage. But they beat the shit out of each other. There was the chair shots were hard. Anything with a weapon was not soft. There was no sugar glass in this match, not at all. And it dictated to me, it marked time that WWF won the war, and they had all the cards. And this match, again, on top of, this No Way Out, you could still argue this is the greatest secondary pay-per-view of all time. This show has 5 amazing matches. And then after this, you go into Kurt Rock, which is probably the same amount of stars. It just dictated 2 guys who were hungry, not only in kayfabe, but probably in real life too. There were a lot of alpha dogs at this point in the company. And they just went out there and said, all right, we're both here to tell the same story. Let's go out and let's just do it. And I'll just always love the storytelling in this match. And it's also a shocking finish. I think a lot of people thought Steve was going to win considering he won the Rumble and then, was going to WrestleMania. But I think this loss triggered what would end up becoming the Stone Cold heel turn. Like, oh my God, maybe I do need help. I should have won this match. This is weird. And he turns to Vince. So I think this, not only that, I think the result led to what would be the Steve heel turn for the rest of 01.
Yeah.
But I think it's perfect. It's a perfect match of violence, storytelling. The crowd, Vegas crowd is off the hill. Because you got to remember, the last pay-per-view Vegas had was WrestleMania 9. Watch the doc on Peacock. They really needed this show. It's just a perfect match with perfect storytelling. It absolutely was.
Yep.
Perfect match, perfect storytelling.
Before we get to the moments of his career, just give your list of honorable mentions.
All right. 3 quickies. Number 1, The match that can't be talked about anymore. The triple threat from WrestleMania 20, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Redacted for the World Heavyweight title. I was there live, standing right next to JR. That match was awesome. The Garden crowd was hot. The end when Benoit's putting the because I remember a great storytelling moment. Shawn's out of the ring. He's bleeding. He's done. Benoit's standing there. Triple H did that wobbly behind Benoit's back, and everybody had to look like, oh, shit. Guess he's winning the belt at Backlash in Edmonton. And no, he reversed the pedigree, ratcheted up the crossface, and won the match. Amazing, amazing, amazing story from beginning to end. And he had the awesome Lex Luger white boots that we said was a Stephanie anniversary present. So, number 2, a match that I think a lot of people forget about. Him and Ric Flair in a cage for the IC belt at Taboo Tuesday 2005. I love that match. I love that story. The match is amazing. Made Flair look like $1 million again, because he always does. And Triple H is Triple H. I just love that match. And I'm glad that I voted for it. I remember, whether it's rigged or not, who knows. But I voted for the cage because, like I said, I love cage matches. And that match is amazing. If for those that forgot that match, watch it. It's amazing. And then finally, my last one is probably his first great match in this company's history. And that's him against The Rock in a ladder match for the IC title at SummerSlam 1998. I love that show. I fucking love that show, beginning to end. It's like this with SummerSlam 89 as my 2 favorite pay-per-views of all. Well, obviously WrestleMania 3, but my 2 favorite SummerSlams of all time. The match is awesome, and the place is off the charts. The place is hot, and it's the first match. It was kind of like the mid-card equivalent of him facing Mick 2 years later at the 2000 Rumble. That elevated Triple H to legit, instead of just being the guy that was goofy in DX. Legit status. So I'll always love that match. Of course, he didn't hold the belt long because he blew his knee out, but it was just an amazing match on an amazing night at the Garden. To me, that was the night, because it was about 4 weeks after Goldberg beat Hogan at the Georgia Dome. To me, this was the show that won the war. This show here. And that's part of it. So
you closed with the match at MSG that kind of propelled Triple H up the card, and then you started with the match that cemented him as a main eventer from MSG. So
from MSG.
From kind of an apropos way to kind of touch upon your 8 favorite matches from him. Yep. All right, so there are 5 points in his career that I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about here. Mm-hmm. And then the first one being DX with Shawn Michaels, and of course, when he would go on to lead after WrestleMania 14. Mm-hmm. As a kid, I kind of always liked Triple H as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I don't know why. I kind of was drawn to him. And then I loved Shawn Michaels and adored him. So when these guys became friends and started acting like my teenage self, I'm like, this is incredible. This is what I want wrestling to be.
You're right.
Yeah, this is what I want wrestling to be. And now, like, my 2 favorites are now together, and we're here. So I love DX. I think it's all-time faction moments in the WWF. And what's your thoughts on DX?
I was in my 20s. I was in the radio business, and I got to meet a lot of wrestlers because, I was in the business right around this time, 97 into 98, going into WrestleMania 14. It was amazing. I mean, they were hilarious assholes, like most of us were in the 90s. We were all hilarious assholes in the 90s. Some of us still are. Like holding up the signs, like I'd rather be in China and who booked this crap. Those are like my 2 favorite signs of all time.
Strip poker with the headbangers.
Yeah, exactly. Cooking the sausages and, cooking big wieners and the press conference. Yeah. I did not, what was it? I did not sleep with that woman. I was up all night. Like, it's awesome. I mean, Bonnie hammered USA's crap in her pants every time they're on the screen. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Perfect time you countered Stone Cold, who was the tough guy for the Attitude Era. And then you had these 2 jack-offs who made it for us Gen Xers who were kind of going into our legal years, just being ridiculously obnoxious like we were. And like, oh my God, these wrestlers are acting like us. They're like us. They're not up here. They're here with us, like a bunch of assals. So it was amazing. They
kind of started stealing the cool factor from WCW too, as a way, right?
Yes.
WCW is still cool with the NWO black and white, and then DX black and green kind of, they're also cool. So
right.
It was kind of a cool way to kind of transition the Attitude Era to WWE side. All right, number 2 here is I have Triple H with Stephanie, the whole saga, but specifically this night. It played a little bit DX, it played a little cerebral, it played the game. A lot of his traits were in this skit here, where he kind of came in, crashed the wedding, and then he had this pre-produced vignette where he again, took Stephanie to Vegas. Vegas again for Triple H, right? So it's kind of funny that he's going into the Hall of Fame in Vegas. As you mentioned, 3 matches from Vegas, and now I'm mentioning this chapel scene from Vegas, right?
I know,
so
right?
It's pretty cool that I'm
Yep.
putting that together right now. But yeah, this is a phenomenal. I remember watching this in my teenage years, be like, that's phenomenal. I love Triple H. And this is just like cementing my love for him. You know, Steph stealing the boss's daughter, and then they would go on to kind of fall in love anyway. So overall, what's your Triple H and Stephanie thoughts?
Oh, God. I was walking around my radio station, and they knew I was a wrestling fan. So when I would walk into my newsroom, they'd go, "You're Scott Criscuolo." "You're damn straight I am." Like he did at the it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. And when he walked out and he had the thing on and he calls Vince Dad. I mean, it was just so it was so fucking obnoxious. It was amazing. And then of course the turn at Armageddon. And that was like Steph's, like that was the beginning of Steph's like uber hot phase. Her turning heel made her instantly up the Hachi Machi card. And in 2000, yes, it could get a little ponderous at times, understandable. But it led to great matches. And that's really all that matters. I mean, a lot of people, you got to take that into consideration. Yes, some of the mid stuff on Raw, yes, it gets a little ponderous. But in the end, almost every match that year in 2000 was great. Him and Mick twice, him and Rock with an amazing saga through the spring into the summer. You insert Jericho into the mix, and then in the back end, you insert Benoit into the mix. It was amazing wrestling, which is what that company needed that year with no Stone Cold. If the entertainment factor got ticked a bit because Steve was not around, we need to amp up, and that's what Chris Kresge did. We need to amp up the work rate meter. That's what they did. So as sometimes a little grating as the faction got at times, it led to great wrestling.
Yeah.
And almost every main event, except maybe the King of the Ring 2000, that match kind of sucks. But every other, of course, it was in Boston, big shock. But I mean, like every other match, I know, right? Every other match that year was amazing because of the build of Stephanie, and you just wanted to punch the two of them in the face. So it needed to be done because you needed something heavy at the top without Stone Cold. And I think they did. That's why 2000. It's amazing how the 1 year during the Attitude Era that Steve wasn't around might be the best of all of them, which speaks volumes, you know.
All right. MSG, The Return, U2, It's a Beautiful Day.
Yep.
The fucking jacket, the jean jacket on the leather jacket. What? The pop.
Oh, my God.
Unreal moment, like a top 5 Raw moment of all time.
Yep.
They didn't have to do much. He's been gone for 8 months because of the knee surgery. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I was sitting in my newsroom, and I had the TV on in there, and unfortunately, you know, I worked at night. I worked second shift, so it was dead in there, just the two ops or whatever. And they were all wrestling fans. We all came in. I turned the fucking TV. I mean, I don't care if I blew the tube. I turned the TV as high as I fucking could. I wanted to blast that theme all through the building. It got me because he popped the quad. He didn't have to deal with the invasion, so thank God for that. We got teased with the Vengeance 01 poster that he wasn't in, but they had him on anyway. And then he came out, and that was just, I wish I was there. It bums me out to this day. You know, a lot of these Northeast moments that I don't go to kill me, and I wish I was there. My God, what a moment. What a moment. And I remember going on shop.com, Mr. Gray, the next day, or I guess it was Shop Zone still. That jacket was $275. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, damn it. That thing was awesome. That's all that is only Triple H could wear that.
Yeah.
Even Stone Cold couldn't pull that off.
MJF tried recently, but
he did, but it's not. Nah, that's Triple H, and you're not going to touch that. I did get that T-shirt though.
I think I did too.
Yeah. What a moment. I mean, what a moment. And then it piggybacked at the Rumble when him and Steve went face to face, and Atlanta went crazy. So what a moment. You're right. Top 5 Raw moment of all time.
All right, number 4 here. The thumbs down, but evolution as a whole. I thought this was a great moment. It's like, all right, I fostered you for a year and a half here, Randy Orton, but you've kind of outkicked your coverage and you stopped playing the game. I am the game, and you kind of you punt your coverage. And you hinted about this earlier, where 04 they kept trying to make Orton. Well, they made him, but he wasn't ready, right? And they just recently made an action figure out of this. I think I have it over there, but we don't have time for me to go get it. But overall,
oh man, I got to get it. I didn't know that.
This is phenomenal. This is great, and evolution as a whole.
Greatest theme song ever. I remember I did a show. I remember I did a show with when Jordan Duncan used to do the ranking show back in the day, and we ranked. I was on with him. I can't remember who else I was on with. It might have been Reish, and we ranked the 10 greatest WWE themes of all time, and this was my number one. Believe it or not, I love Evolution more than I like any of Triple H's. Although the 2000 Triple H, my time, it makes me weepy. But Evolution was awesome. It was our generation's Four Horsemen, and that's what Hunter wanted. Yes, he was a fanboy. Aren't they all fanboys? They should be fanboys. If you're not a fanboy when you're a wrestler, why are you doing it? Which is what we always talk about Brock Lesnar for the last 25 years. But, he wanted his own Horseman. He wanted to be Ric Flair. He needed to get a Tully. He needed to get an Arn, and Flair was Ole. And he got that. And they were awesome. And this better suited Orton, and the other story suited Batista. Orton, the smart-ass little, frat boy jack-off, who kind of usurped the spot in Triple H. I didn't give you permission to do this. It's kind of like what Sting and Flair, I just watched it, leading into early 90 in NWA, WCW, when Sting won the title shot at the Iron Man thing at SummerSlam, at Starrcade 89. And then Flair's like, well, you're not going to defend it against me, are you? And Sting's like, well, yeah, I am. And the Horseman beat the shit out of him. Same thing here. So, and then eventually we'd get the, like earlier in the previous year, they did the thing with Goldberg, the bounty and all that stuff. He used all the NWA tropes because he's a fanboy, and that's fine. So great moment. Evolution was amazing. It made two guys into Hall of Famers. And Batista
it really settled Triple H down in a way too. Some may look at it as a negative, but he was kind of spinning his wheels a little bit before he was able to garnish this group at the end of 2002 leading into 2003, right?
Yes. So, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It did him some good too as well. And it made use of Flair at his peak too as well. It was long in the tooth too. So Evolution is definitely a top theme song. But I don't know if it should be looked upon as a top group, even though there's some negative that goes around it too as well. It's because the TV dragged it down. But overall, it made two guys and it settled two guys down, and it was cool. And that's what Triple H needed at the time.
Yep, so. Absolutely.
All right, and the final moment here is like this Undertaker saga, starting with 25 and 26 with Shawnmichaels, and then 27 and 28 in the Hell in a Cell with Shawn as the referee, with Triple H and The Undertaker. This is probably the peak Undertaker run here at WrestleMania, as it would become extinct 2 years later. But overall, this is a fantastic match. And the moment here is the pedigree after the super kick. And it's an all-time kick out at WrestleMania. It's phenomenal.
I was ready, Ryan Gray. I was ready for everyone to destroy me if Triple H broke the streak. Destroy me. And I'd been like, I would have Michael Jordaned in the 92 NBA Finals.
Yeah.
This moment for me, I'm looking at this shot, which again makes me a little misty, is because I think this was the last WrestleMania where we were the company's main demo.
Oh, yes.
I think starting from WrestleMania 29, which we were on, they skewed younger. They wanted the kids. They didn't need us anymore. They didn't care about us. We were already here.
Our kids were older.
Yeah, exactly. So we grew up, and this was the farewell. All right, we're going to start focusing on the younger guys now, and by that November, the Shield would debut, and so this to me marked the moment that we stopped being the ones they paid attention to, and they paid attention to the youth after that, and the younger audience, which they had to do. I mean, we were the demo in the '80s. Through to the mid, all the way into the early 2000s that we had, the 2000s we still were. But this was the moment where our demo took a backseat to younger kids. This was it. This was our match for us. And now after this, we were going to we'd get gimmicky matches with the older guys. But now it's time to focus on Cena and Punk and, and then Daniel Bryan and the Usos, and then obviously Roman, Seth, etc. So this moment will always stand out for me because this was the moment that we're like, our guy, all right, it's time for us to enjoy the product still, but we're not the ones. We can't get pissed if something doesn't make us happy because they don't give a shit what we think anymore. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. So we're going to get more. We probably got more mad over the last 13 years or 12 and a half years than any other demo because they weren't catering to us anymore. Our guys were getting too old. We can like the new guys, but the kids need to like the new guys because they're the ones that ultimately spend the money. So this moment will always mark time for me. As the moment that I realized, all right, my guys are kind of taking a step back and now the Cenas and the Batistas and then eventually Romans and Seths and all that stuff would take hold over the rest of the decade. So it marked time for me. It marked time for me.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
It was fun it really was fun to look back here at Triple H's career. It's warranted. We just wanted to take some peeks and just be like, this is why he's a Hall of Famer. You can't write WWE history without him.
Yep, absolutely.
He may not be that top tier Austin Hogan.
No, Cena, he's not.
Bruno,
no, he's not.
He's definitely a crucial part, and he's definitely a headliner.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's not Hogan. He's not Stone Cold. I get that. I'm not stupid. I get that. Obviously, but that's why I like him so much. He was fine in his lane as a guy that was a main eventer, but a support guy to be there to help the upper the upper echelon guys. Like everybody was surprised when I had him when we did the GWWE Top 100. I had him at 9.
Yeah, I had him at
and they're like, 9? You don't have him at 1? I'm like, no, I'm not an idiot.
I had him at 16, 17. So yeah.
I had him. All right. I probably overgraded him a little bit more than everybody else, but I wasn't gonna make him number 1. I'm not that stupid. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, he's definitely top 10 for me. And I think he's top 10 all time.
Yeah. All right. We have a little bonus segment here, and it is Michelle McCool going into the Hall of Fame. I was unable to get to this with Ace when we did part 1 of this, and overall, I just wish this was LayCool. I think the optics, I think the optics of it would probably be a little bit more fitting for Michelle McCool's career, where she didn't really start clicking until she was with LayCool, right? And I feel that Layla earned it, but she doesn't earn it solo, right, so to speak.
No.
I don't like the timing of Mickie James getting pulled off of LFG and McCool getting inserted because of her husband, and now her husband's inducting her. So it's a little cloudy, but probably from like 2008 to 2013, she was a featured diva in a down era. It's fitting, sure, because there's not much criteria. I just wish it was LayCool.
It has to be LayCool. I agree. Again, we know she's Taker's wife. We get it. We're not stupid. But listen, JR and I did those last couple of years on the Vintage Vault, and it sucked because women like her and Beth Phoenix were in the wrong era. They would have thrived now in the last 7 years because the women that it was not good. It was not good. And then that crap, the infamous Divas belt, the Barbie belt, the Barbie toy.
I don't like that. Will they split it though?
But yeah, well, the women's belt that they cut in half was awesome. The Barbie Divas belt was crap, but the women's belt, the oval one was amazing. And I think I think there is a pair figure with the two pieces. She belongs in. They definitely belong in together. I agree 100%. They're probably running out of. I mean, I didn't want to say this before, but fuck it. They're probably running out of women's nominees every year because they've kind of filled the gamut. I mean, I hate to say it. Eventually, I think Natalya is going to go in. Maybe she'll have her cat give her speech. I don't know.
I guess, right? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I think she definitely belongs in. But LayCool would have been so much better, and then they could have put the belt together. You could have done a Hall of Fame belt pieces. It would have been really cool. But she belongs in.
We'll probably get McCool as a 2-time Hall of Famer down the road and be like, really? But whatever. All right, Scott, it was fun to kind of go down memory lane on Triple H. And where can we find you? This weekend, we're going to have a big WrestleMania preview on the main event.
Yes, this week, special edition because we're in between weeks. We hope you enjoyed this past week's episode. But this week, myself, Steve Willie, and Andrew Reich, we do Steve. This is like Steve Willie's Nerdville week. We go through the full week. So if you're going to Vegas, and we know a lot of our crew are, we're going to let you know all. I mean, it's going to air Thursday. It'll drop Thursday morning because we want people to know about the TNA show Thursday night, Unbreakable in Vegas. Not an accident. And get everybody where all the indie shows are and where you can bounce around and what's at the convention center and T-Mobile and Cox Pavilion and all the other Thomas and Mack and all the other places. So if you're going in for the indie stuff, you'll want to listen to our show. So it's going to drop noon on Thursday, this coming Thursday, to get you ready for the weekend. And then next week, our regularly scheduled main event, Steve Reich and I will do a postmortem of Mania and look ahead to what'll go on the rest of the spring. So yeah, definitely check it out on the Place to Be Wrestling Network. This noon, this Thursday, the PTB, the main event WrestleMania weekend preview. Enjoy it, please do.
All right, Scott. Well, it was fun again to run down this man's career, and we'll see you the next time when Triple H is inducted to the Hall of Fame for whatever reason. See you guys.